go.
now she's doing a little hunt seat just in a western saddle, but there again, we want the same level top line. We want that nose just in front of the vertical, and we want to be really consistent. Now, one thing that I'll really look at my hunt seat horse, and even my western front horses, if you notice this horse, his name is Chewy. That's the barn name.
Uh-huh.
Well, we've got other names for him. But Chewy, if you watch his hind feet, how far he's reaching up under himself, he's almost stepping on his front feet.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what we really want, because that means that horse is really driving up with his hind end. And that makes everything a lot easier for that horse. It makes that, even the movement for Leah to ride that horse much more comfortable. And she's just kind of letting him go. She doesn't have to adjust him too much, just a little bit. He's only 4, so he's we're still trying to get him really consistent to be a show horse. But we can't train that movement. We just try to keep it where it is, and we're training his attitude. He sometimes has a little bit of an attitude.
Sure.
He's a pony, you know. So, but he goes to work for it. I just bring him down to a walk, Leah, and then we're going to canter him off, and you can just do the hunt seat canter. And Chewy will do both western and a hunt seat. There you go. Now he kind of came up a little bit,
Yep.
but then he locked back in. And just keep. I don't want that face bouncing too much. If he is bouncing too much, we got to drive him, squeeze him a little bit more with our leg to make him drive that hind end more than banging on his face. I don't want to bang on his face in the bit. We might give him some resistance and kind of drive him into the bridle and hold him, and I just want him to drive. There we go.
Now, at our show yesterday, we had to stop and back 5 steps a lot. How would you do a stop or a halt here or wherever, at whichever gate?
Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and stop him right there, Leah. She's just going to sit down and say the word.
Oh.
And now she's going to ask him to back up. Just pick up. She's going to squeeze her, bump with her legs a little bit. And that's just giving him pressure. And just keep asking to back. Now, he's not backing really well. He's just kind of fighting a little bit. So that's something we have to work on at home to get him a better backer. Okay, now just release him. Let him stand there. Now, he's kind of chewing on the bit a little bit, but he kind of go back and forth. And sometimes you ride him in a snaffle bit, and sometimes you put a calm thumb in his mouth, sometimes you put a correction bit.
Sure.
He can handle either. Today, she just wanted to use the snaffle. I think she's going to do a little more bending with him and get control of his face a little bit, move his body and shoulders.
And he's got some kind of a martingale?
Yeah, that's a martingale. And people, to understand, I always ask the question, what does martingale do? And a lot of people think, well, it keeps their head down. No, it does not. It keeps them from getting their head up too high. So if he gets his head up too high, raise his head way up if you can, Leah. If he gets it up too high, you lose a lot of control with your hand.
Yes.
So with the martingale, he can only bring his head up so high. So it's not the martingale's job to put his neck and face where we want it. It's our job as a rider to teach him, this is where we want you to carry yourself.
Right.
So we have to get him soft in the face and moving forward into that bridle. And when he can do that, then it's a lot easier for him to frame up and do that. So that's why we work so hard on teaching our horses to always go forward and get soft in the face.
Uh-huh.
And if you've got an older horse that can't do that, it's pretty tough because they're kind of set in their ways and their muscles are already developed. But with a youngster like Chewy, who's only 4, we can kind of bend him anywhere we want because he doesn't have that development yet. And the good thing is he doesn't know any better.
Which is a benefit.
He thinks he's supposed to do what we ask him because he's young enough.
Right.
He's not set in his ways.
Well, since you saw my horse, Gage, and his very, 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 very fast trot,
Yeah.
he's probably 12 this year. So what would your suggestion, if this was Chewy and he was trotting to beat the band,
Okay.
what would you say to...
Well, what we were going to do is let's do this. Leah, put him into a fast jog, and we'll show you what I do to slow him down. Okay, now we want him to jog. He's actually trotting. So when we go to slow him down, what Leah's going to do is she's going to squeeze her legs and push him into the bridle, and she's going to pick up his shoulders.
Oh, wow.
And that puts him back on his hind end.
Yeah.
And he learns that we want him to be back on his hind end more, so he's going to reach further up under himself, and he's gonna, when he reaches further, he's gonna stay on the ground longer, and he'll actually look like he's going slower.
Right,
So just pick him up. Now, he's got a little bit of a habit of dropping his neck down too far,
okay,
and so we're gonna change that. That's just him. He likes going low, and we're just gonna we're just gonna keep it reminding him that I want you to stay up.
So-
Remind him to stay up.
that would be below the vertical then?
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
that's,
that's the problem that you have to understand is that it takes a while to get these horses really programmed and focused and consistent. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
We may have to pick up his shoulders 5,000, 10,000 times over the next 3, 4 months until he gets it figured out. But we want to make sure that he stays in that position. And he just likes to drop his nose. That's just him. And that's basically a sign of a horse that's got a pretty strong back that can drop his nose.
oh,
And ride. I just push him up and lope them usually. We're gonna lope him this time. We're not gonna can him. We're just gonna lope him. You know, he bounces a little bit, so he's still, he's just 4, so he's still not totally strong enough to really carry himself the way he ideally wants. So we're not gonna get too upset about it. We're just gonna see if we can bring him along and just keep getting him better each ride, a little bit better each ride. And just let him go along. She might bring her hands back towards her hips and hold them a little bit. I'm pushing them in the ground. Bring her right back towards her hips. There you go.
Oh,
Hold
wow.
'em. Okay, now he's bouncing pretty good, but he's getting up under himself. He's really pushing that hip up.
right,
And then we will relax it and see if he'll get a little quiet for it. But we've got to condition that hind end. We've got to get them built up and strong enough that they want to do that, that they can do it. They just can't come out and do it on their own. We have to condition not only their mind, but their body as well.
sure,
It's like yourself, being an athlete. And you have to be a good athlete to be a good rider. Because you gotta be able to do so many things at once and a lot of coordination. Now bring them down to a jog or a trot. She just kind of stopped and then pushed him right into the jog. And that looked kind of pretty.
it looked really pretty.
And that's kind of like, if a judge sees that, that should be a little bit of a bonus point because that takes a lot of degree of difficulty and timing and
Okay.
talent on a horse. So that's how you kind of get a little bit more points in when you're riding or showing. Because if you really want to show off your horse's good points and kind of hide what they don't do so well.
Right, that's a cute horse.
Okay, I just walk in and again. And we're not going to leave Kelly out. Kelly, come on. Get in.
Oh,
Come the other way, Kelly. Kelly's on my old show horse. This is Riot. His nickname is Quiet Riot. He's 21, but he can still come out and do it. He's got, he's a little, we talked about, maybe you can explain that later to the group.
sure,
It's his uprightness in the front end, but this is a horse that used to, even though he's older, he still uses his hind end pretty well, gets up under himself. So just go ahead and put him into a jog, Kelly. Now, he's always done Western. He's done a little Huntsy, but he mainly has done Western.
oh, that's,
Just get out, give him a little more rein, just get out of his way. Now, when he's in the show pen, he just locks in. He just goes out and does it and give you a pretty good ride because he knows what his job is.
that's pretty.
And just let him go. Now, as you get along that wall, Kelly, just see how slow you can make him jog. So she's going to pick him up and drive him. Pick him up more. There, see how he slowed down? Now
Yeah.
just release him, and you should stay pretty quiet. There, now drop your reins even more. There we go. Now there, he's got that level top line. His face is just in front of the vertical. He doesn't get quite up under himself as he used to, but he's pretty good. Now she's just going to step it right into the rope from there. Just slide the other side leg back and kiss the boom. He should step into the rope. Oh, he thinks he's done.
My time is over, the time clock clicked. Oh, that's pretty.
That's it. Just let him lope out. And so for an old guy, he just looks pretty decent now. Now back down to the walk. Just let him walk. Good. So yeah, you just keep these horses and get them better broke and soft and keep them framed up. It takes a lot of work and being consistent. And you don't have to ride them into the ground. You don't want to
Sure.
ride them for 2-3 hours a day. If you got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that's all it takes. Just get that horse into a routine. And the older they are, it takes a little bit longer because they're kind of set in their ways. But you have to, just be patient about it and let them come. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people think, well, we gotta get on and ride them and ride them and ride them, and no, because the horse only has so many rides, and you're gonna wear them out.
Right.
So if you wanna keep that horse going for a long time, you gotta have, train them right, exercise them right, good, nutrition, good farrier care, good vet care, and do everything the right way, and that'll cut down on your vet costs and farrier costs. And a good farrier will save you a lot of money from the vets if they
Sure.
know what they're doing.
Sure.
And as I said earlier, I got one of the better farriers, or 3 good farriers that come to my barn and keep us going.
What would you say, again, specifically for our show team, we've got 46 and many, many of them are young riders, no one's as old as me. And many of them ride lesson horses. The horses are used in the lesson program. So they have, some constraints sometimes. What do you say to those young riders and even adult riders coming in? They're feeling a little bit nervous. Oh my gosh, that's Judge so and so, and he's gonna be this and that, and I'm not certain that I have everything down pat. What would you say to the new showmen?
Well, the biggest thing you can do to help with your nerves is be prepared.
Okay.
Understand, what's gonna go on at the show, the classes you're showing in. I always tell people the best thing you can do to understand the classes you're showing in is read the rule book. If you've got rules now, if you show open shows in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Horse Council has a section in their website that just talks about all the horse show rules.
Right.
Showmanship, Western pleasure, hunt seat pleasure, driving, and all that. So go in and read the rules book, because that's what the judges are supposed to be doing and know what to look for
Okay.
and what they're looking for. The second thing is, as I said, be prepared. So you got to do your homework. Understand what's going to be asked of you and your horse, and just go do it. Probably the biggest thing that it doesn't involve the horse or anything else is your attitude. My dad always told me when I was growing up and was showing a little bit of horses, he said, always told me, just go in and do your best.
Right.
And so, a lot of people go in and say, well, I'm gonna go in and try and get that first place ribbon or that second place ribbon, and they're gonna do this, and that's where you're gonna mess up and have problems. I like to tell people is, you know what your horse can do, you know what you can do. If you go in and you feel your horse gave it his best and you gave it your best, that's a blue ribbon ride.
Absolutely.
You can't do anything better than that. You're gonna get beat by a horse that moves a little bit better, or maybe carries themselves a little prettier, or the rider's a little stronger than you, and this and that. But just go in and ride for yourself, and think of the show as taking a test. Where is my ability for my horse, and where's my ability to show my horse? Where are we at? And where we made our mistakes, and now we gotta go home and practice and get better.
Right. Right.
Just keep getting better, and just keep getting better. We've got too many people that are in it to win it, and they just force these horses to do these things, and the horse becomes unhappy, then you become unhappy. But you want to go have fun when you show, but just treat it as I'm going to go do my best, and I see where we need to work, what we need to go home and work on.
Right.
And I learned that from one of the top guys in the world that showed quarter horse halter horses. He had more world champions than anybody, but he used to love the ropes. And he'd go to weekend ropings and he'd go show his roping horse, and he'd have a few problems and stuff like that. And of course, people would say, well, you're gonna go home, or are you gonna go buy a better show horse? He said, roping horse? He said, no, I'm gonna go home and I need to get my horse better.
Right.
I just gotta go home and get better. So
Right.
that message kind of stuck with me is, yeah, that's all we gotta do is work on getting better at how we do things. If you're not sure how to do it, then get yourself some help. Find somebody that can help you, teach that horse to do what you want, and you can teach it yourself how to do it. It's not as easy as some of us make it look.
Right.
And I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I've been doing it pretty much the same way, except trying to get a little bit better at stuff. And as someone that rides a lot and does train for a number of years, we probably got a better feel with our hands, with our legs, with our body. We can tell when these horses are going to go into the wrong lead before they do it. we start to ride the feel. If
Right.
that doesn't feel right, we know how to correct it and put him back where we want. Like we said, if we get this guy and he's jogging a little bit too quick, and we're gonna slow him down, we're just gonna pick him up ever so slightly and then drop him. And that, you need to understand, I'm gonna pick his up shoulders a little bit, now I got my spurs under his belly, and I'm picking up his shoulders. With my long legs, I can do that.
Right.
Most of you guys, like Anne Maria, she's got no legs, so she has to push him with her legs and then pick him up.
Okay.
But you see how as we pick up his shoulders, they sit back, center of gravity goes back on that hind end, and so he sits on, he's working off his hind end now. So it's just the little things like that. Now we're gonna pivot on just pushing his shoulder around.
Nice.
And then jog them all off. So we put a lot of body control on our horses so that we can put their bodies in the position where we want it to make them do what we want. We want to help that horse be successful. So we teach how to move the hips, move the shoulders, and move the rib cage. So if we're going to push his hip around, I slide my leg back, front end stays quiet, the hip comes.
Yep.
And then we'll just pivot him. I'm going to put the leg on. I just pick up my hand so he can't walk forward and just bring him around. And then the other one is we just push him sideways. We'll side pass him and just push him sideways. And they got to do it both ways. We're going to have a good way and a not so good way.
Yep.
If you want to be a good trainer or a good rider, you get him good both ways. And I always tell people, if you want to be like everybody else, just do the good way. So I push you to get them good both ways.
Right,
You're gonna
right.
need both ways.
Because you're going to be asked to go both ways.
Yeah. Or if you're going to do patterns and stuff
Right,
like that,
right.
you know, and then you start playing with them. We'll just do a little, put them into a mold. Kind of mold along, nice and quiet. Now we're going to stop them. We're going to push them back the other way and ask them to go off. Side leg, push, rope right off. Stay right
Nice.
in that range, nice and quiet.
Yeah.
And do it again. Stop. Leg goes on. I push that shoulder around. Slide my leg back. You should step right into the rope. There we go. And I didn't use hardly any hand.
Right. Very quiet.
And we're gonna bring it just kind of whoop up and down into a jog. And then we'll go move. And then walk. So just nice and quiet and easy. Ask for his face every now and then. We want to get him soft, so we got to ask him to get soft. We just keep bending that face around. Give him my bridle. Don't take it from me. It's my debt. We just kind of play. And just each ride, you try to get him a little bit better. A little bit better. They say if you can improve your horse 1% each time you ride it,
Wow.
after 100 rides, you've improved 100%.
Right.
So that's the time it takes. It doesn't happen overnight. If you've got a great natural horse that does everything comes easy for them, and you show them the saddle, and they go, I got this.
Uh-huh.
But 95% of the horses, you got to teach them everything.
Right. Well,
And if you teach nicely, they'll get it figured out.
and they'll want to do it if
Yeah.
you're harsh with them.
Yeah, and then you'll find out too that some horses can't be a show horse. They just don't like that attitude, that atmosphere. If it's too much for them.
Right.
Others like it, and others put up with it. I think Jake, he just puts up with it. Riot, we saw the older guy.
Yeah.
He would go in and just lock right in and do his job. And Chewy's been quite successful as a POA. Now I've got him, we're going to try to turn him into a kind of an all-around horse. He just was doing rail work, this pleasure hunting
Right.
in Western. But we want him to do patterns, we want him to do trail obstacles, we want to do some Western riding, where we do flying knee changes and stuff.
Wow.
So that's what we want to put on him, but we're still putting the basics on him. You look over there now, Leah's just pushing his hips around, making him do turns on the forehand, making him work a little bit. Because sometimes he gets a little bit of an attitude. And so I don't like to beat our horses.
Right.
I might spank them if they intimidate me, I'm gonna go back at them. But if I want a horse to really go to work and respect me and stuff like that, I'm gonna make them work harder. And just backing up is hard work for a horse. As if you ever watch him in the pasture, you never see him back.
No. No.
So, and it's difficult for him, but we're gonna, if you mess up and not pay attention, I'm gonna back you up, or I'm gonna move your hips around, and make you work harder. And once you find out that if you do what I want, it's gonna be easy, then you'll quit, playing games with me, and
Right.
we'll go back exact word, but that's how my hard work will make him work harder by just doing a lot of these calisthenics. You just push him around, you're just keeping his body thinking, he's moving his feet, so he's gotta pay attention where his feet are going, he's gonna quit worrying about what's going on around him. and
Right.
just listen to me.
Right. Yeah, we're told make make you the only thing he's thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just come along and walk, and then just kind of tip his face and walk back the way you just came, nice and quiet. And just, you want to be, the thing that I like to look for too as a rider when I watch riders is, I like them to be quiet riders. That you can sit up there nice and quiet, but in reality, you're really working hard because you're using your legs, you're using your seat.
Right.
Maybe your hands a little, but you're not all over the place and bouncing. So be a quiet rider, but you got to get that horse stroke and soft, so it's really easy for you.
So that means a pretty picture too. If you're sitting quietly in the saddle, or even bareback, or even in showmanship, that you're not hands not bouncing around
Yeah,
and
you got to just keep everything nice, easy flow, and make it look pretty.
make it look pretty.
It's a it's a hunt seat pleasure class. It's a Western pleasure class. It looks like it's got to be a pleasure to do it.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, is there? I think we'll probably can. We're going on just a little over 20 minutes here on this one. Is there anything else you can think of that our team would be, any impressions you had of us as a group, or any words of encouragement that we could use?
Well, in the show ring, I didn't see a lot of tears or crying or getting mad. I think they were all the riders are pretty well focused and trying to figure out what they're doing. It might have been their first or second show
Yes.
of the year. And so those are always very difficult because it's the first time until you start to get a feel. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Right.
So just go in with a positive attitude and if you take that attitude, I have a lot of sayings because I've been doing this for so long. But one of them is all about attitude.
Right.
The only thing in life you have control of is your attitude.
Right.
You don't have control if the sun's going to come up that day. You don't have control if your horse comes up lame. You don't have control of this or that. But you do have control of your attitude and how you handle things.
Right.
Prepare yourself and all that. So come in with an attitude that you're just going to try and do my best, but I've got to be prepared.
Right.
And give my horse, I want my horse to be successful. I got to help them be successful.
Right.
By giving them the tools they need to do their job. And I want them to also have fun. I want the horse to enjoy being shown. And so, these lesson horses sometimes are a little difficult because they're kind of set in their ways.
Yep.
But sometimes the lesson horse likes to get out, and they might have been former show horses, and they like to get back in that show pen.
Mm-hmm.
But, you don't have the greatest movers in the world, but you've got good-minded ones.
Right.
And that'll help you learn quicker and faster. I always tell people if you're going to go buy a horse, buy the best one you can, buy the best broke horse you can afford.
Right.
And
Right.
if it's one that's 15, 20 years old that can teach you some things, then great. And then after you get that experience and knowledge, you can maybe guide something that's a little bit younger, maybe a little bit more, be a little more successful in the show pen, but at least you know what you're doing.
Right. Right.
You're going to enjoy it. I don't want to see people buy a horse that they can't handle and they get frustrated and they quit.
Right.
And they leave, just quit showing and then the horse stands there or they get rid of it and then we've lost somebody that could be in the show pen, which is it's just such a great environment to really challenge yourself as an individual, as a human being, to understand that it does take work to be successful. And another expression I use that most of the young kids don't understand, but Anne Maria, with your background and length of time on this earth, that sometimes it's the journey that's more fulfilling than the destination.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh,
keep
yes.
that in mind too, because as we get older, that's what we start to appreciate, is that journey getting to that destination.
Right. Right.
Because that's what will teach you more and make you more fulfilled and stuff like that than going in and getting the blue ribbon. Yeah, the blue ribbon's nice, but after a while, you kind of, you start to anticipate it too much. And if you can get on another horse and do the same thing, and another horse and do the same thing, you know what you're doing and you're having fun doing it. And that horse can go on and make someone else's life happy too.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So how important is a smile in the show ring?
I don't say smile, because there's so many other fake. I said, just look like you're enjoying your job.
Okay,
And that's just a pleasant look on your face.
okay,
You know, and never stop showing, because you might mess up and I catch it, but everybody else in the show pen might be messing up too.
right,
And your mess up might not be as bad as someone else's. So, like you asked me the other day, how did I get that ribbon? I said, well, you were very consistent. And even though he walked over the jump, stepped over the jump, he didn't straight gate, he didn't try to stop and anything like that. So
right,
just keep showing and act like you're having fun doing it, you're enjoying it.
yeah,
Because that
that,
says a lot to the judge, that you enjoy being here, I'm serious, I want to do this, and I want to present my horse to you, and act like you've got the best horse in the class. But when you put that fake smile on, we know that's a fake
right,
smile.
right, right,
So, but just enjoy what you're doing.
yeah, that's what I
And
try to
stay
tell,
relaxed, because if you are, then your horse is.
I try to tell the kids, smile, and, you see that fake smile, and I get out there and I say, it's me and my pudgy pony, and if it's not fun, we're done. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's literally the case for me.
Yeah.
If it's not fun anymore, why bother?
Just
So,
think of it, you look up, you see the sunshine, and you're with your horse, oh, it's a great day for a horse show.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, any famous last words?
Just thanks for the opportunity to judge you guys a couple weeks ago, and thanks to Ann and Maria for coming today and shooting some video on us. Hopefully you picked up a little bit.
Oh.
We didn't bore you too much, but we like to have fun. I like riding good horses, and we got to make them that way though too.
Right.
And so, and then we try to keep them that way as well.
Exactly. Well, and I have some famous last words. We have a show prep lesson always after a show, and you got very, very, very good feedback from our riders. They thought you were very pleasant, that you were kind, you were encouraging, you were helpful with good feedback and things. And I think from a rider's standpoint, even someone that's in their 60s or someone that's 8, that's really important. And I mean, I found that myself. You smiled at me, you said, you look like you're having fun. And that kind of sets the tone for the day. So that was very much appreciated. So,
Thank you very much. That's very nice to hear. I try to make it fair, but have fun. And, and don't be afraid to go to the judge and just, when they've got a moment and it's permissible. You need to ask the ringster or whatever. But I'm pretty open, and I'll be more than happy to give you this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'd like to see.
right.
Everybody's opinion is different. That's, in judging, it's just one person's opinion.
Yep.
So keep that in mind too. But yeah, anytime you can learn, I got, and probably the biggest thing I hear, or I've heard other judges say, well, you got to get your horse better built, is the biggest thing.
Right.
But we might tell you, you missed your leads, that's why they knocked you down a little bit, so you got to go home and work on that, and or this or that. But don't be afraid, to ask. What can I, just come up and say, what can I do better? Just say, is there anything that you would recommend that I, give it a little more specific? Because if we're judging a lot of horses, we sometimes forget which horse it was, and we get
Yes,
notes and stuff.
yes.
But, just say, out of that class I wrote in, what do you think, we can do better and stuff like that? And overall, I can give well, most people had this issue, and this is what you need to do to get better. So,
Great.
but
Great.
just keep working at it.
Very good. Well, Gary Gibson, thank you so much. And we're going to sign off here from the Gibson Training Center in Albany. And for our show team, as Gary said, this horse's name is Jake. So you'll have to compare him to the Clydesdale at Sunfire Stable. So Gary, again, thank you so much. I'm going to sign off here.